You're live.
Hi, fellow Langhamites. Welcome to my studio. My name is Valerie Wiebe, and I live south of Langham, and I'm an artist. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've always been a creative person, and I've always been making things, crafting, doing art. And I have a fair bit of experience and kind of training, technical training. I have an education degree, I have a music degree, I have a fine arts degree from the University of Saskatchewan, and I also have a degree in interior design. Yeah, my husband says I have a lot of degrees. But anyway, I am actually really thankful now that I have all this training, because now I can pass it on to other people, and that makes me really happy. So today we are going to start our first class in learning some of the rules of the game of art. And if you watched my introduction video, you know that I compared that to learning the rules of a game or a sport, or like soccer or hockey, or even learning to read and write. That if you can have all the tools and the equipment, but if you don't know what the rules are, it's really hard to play and have fun. So we're going to learn about the rules of art, and then we're going to have some fun with them. And today our lesson is going to be about space. So, space. Now, I don't mean like outer space. I mean like the space on a picture plane or on a painting, like how you organize the space. And the really simple explanation for what space is in art is this. We talk about positive space and negative space. Now, positive space is basically the object, the thing that the main sort of subject matter on your picture. And in this case, it's a car, right? So that's called the positive space, and the negative space is everything that's around it. So that's all of this space. That's called the negative space. All right. Now, an artist is interested in both the positive space and the negative space. Both of them are really important. So when I say positive, I'm not saying that that's the most important thing and the negative space isn't important. Both of them are really important. Okay? And it kind of matters when you're creating a picture where you put the object that you want people to look at, like in this case a car. Now I stuck it right in the middle, right? But there's lots of different ways that you can organize that. So I'm going to show you, here's some examples. Okay, so for example, this one, that would be like the car. In this case, it's a square, right? It's right in the middle of the picture, right? I've divided it into 4 so we can see them all at once. Now that one, what would you say, how that makes you feel? Well, when I look at that, because it's right in the middle, it feels really calm. It feels really balanced, right? There's not a lot of excitement or movement. It's just like very chill, right? Now, if we move the object into the corner, now all of a sudden we've created a lot more negative space, and there's a little bit more excitement. We kind of wonder, oh, what's going to happen now, right? So now we've put that into the middle or into the corner, and now we've created a little bit more excitement. Now, if I take that object, now it's in this bottom corner, and I've turned the object, now there's even more excitement, and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen, right? It gets more exciting. And if I take that square and I move it partly off the page, right? Now we're kind of like, whoa, then there's a lot of movement, right? So it really matters where you put your main subject or the most important thing in your picture. It really matters where you put it on the page, right? And I can tell you, I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and said, oh, my painting's not working. I don't know why it's not working. I painted this beautiful picture or this painting of a sunflower. Well, what they did was they painted the sunflower first. They put it right smack dab in the middle of the picture. And then they got to the point where now they have to deal with the negative space, or what we call the background. And they're like, I don't know what to do. And part of the problem is when you when you're going to create something, you have to think about all of that before you start. So space is super, super important, okay? I'm going to show you a little trick that lots of people use. Artists use it, photographers use it, designers use it, and it's called the law of thirds, okay? So you have your picture. This is your whole picture plane, okay? You could do it this way too, it doesn't matter. This is called landscape, this is called portrait. You could do it either way, but the idea is that you divide your picture into thirds in both directions. So we've got 2 lines this way and 2 lines this way, or you can do it like this. And the idea is that you've divided your space on your picture into 3 sections, right? So if you were going to do a landscape, for example, if you're going to paint a picture of the sky and the land, right, you would want to do it in one of 2 ways. You'd either want the bottom third like this to be the land and the top 2/3 to be the sky, or the other way around. You put the land on the bottom 2/3 and the top third is sky. And the reason that we do that is because if you were to divide this in half and half, it's not very interesting. You remember when I showed you this picture like this? This thing's right smack dab in the middle, right? It's very calm, it's very still. Now if that's what you're looking for, that's great. But if you want a picture that has more interest and is more exciting, it's better to do one of these things, right? So this is kind of the same idea. So make all of this land and this part sky, or the other way around. Now the other thing that this can show you is that you see where these these lines cross each other? If you put an object right where that point is, those are called, like, I call them nodes of power, kind of like Spaceman or something. Anyway, yeah, so that's a really good place to put an object, is in one of those points, because those are like really, they're like powerful places. You try it and it works. It's really interesting. So that you could use the same thing when you're taking a photograph. Like if you put somebody's face right there, rather than having it right smack dab in the middle, you put it kind of off to the side, or off to over here or up here, and it just makes your picture more interesting. Now, the interesting and the fun part of using space in art is you can break the rules, right? So remember I said that the positive space, remember? Positive space is the object, and the negative space, is all the space around it, right? Okay. So sometimes you can play around with that idea. Now, oh, I got that one upside down. Okay, so here's a really good example. If you look at the black shape here, you would say, well, it's a goblet, or like a vase or something, right? And now here it's in white, but can you also see that the shape that's formed by it also forms faces? So we got a face on this side and a face on this side, and here it's switched around. You know, the faces are black and the vase or the goblet is white. So we're kind of playing around. So which is the object and which is the space around it, right? We're kind of fooling the eye a little bit. And there is an artist who that was one of his main things that he liked to play with. And his name was M.C. Escher. And you can look him up on the internet, on Google. If you Google his name, you'll get a ton of pictures of things that he did, and they're really, really interesting to look at. So I've printed out a few examples of some of the things that he does, and here's one. So you can see, if you look really closely, you can see that there are lizards, and some of the lizards are white and some of the lizards are black, right? So which is the object and which is the area around the object? So which is the positive space and which is the negative space? So that is really interesting, isn't it? Because he's kind of made them like puzzle pieces and they all fit together. We call this tessellation, and he did a lot of this kind of thing. And you could actually try this yourself. You could draw some kind of an animal, let's say a butterfly, and you could try to figure out the way that you would draw it so that you could make some of them one color and some of them another color, and then you could fit them all together like a puzzle piece. And it's really, that's kind of fun. That's kind of interesting. It's a little more complicated than what we can do today, but that might be something you might want to try. So, all right. Here's another example. Now here he has taken some birds, and you'll notice that some of the birds are black, and then going in the other direction, they're white. And then what he did was, as they moved down into this landscape, now the birds become the squares in a field. Like as if you were looking, if you've ever been in an airplane and flown over Saskatchewan, you can see that the land is all divided up into squares. That's what we call the grid system, right? And so he's really playing with this idea of positive and negative space. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And here's another one. And now we have birds, and they are morphing into fish, right? And it's just how he plays with positive and negative space, right? And you can see all of these online, and there's more, ton more. He was a really interesting artist. So, all right, so now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Now I have here two pieces of paper. I have a white one and a black one. We're going to put the black one aside for right now, and we're going to use just the white one. All right. Now we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up exercise, and once we're done doing the warm-up, we're actually going to use this paper to do something fun with it. We're going to create something. So I got a bunch of, well, these are paint markers, but you could use any kind of marker or pencil crayon or crayon, and your paper doesn't have to be square. It can be any shape and size that you like, whatever you happen to have. Okay, this is actually a 12 by 12 inch square of scrapbook paper, and yeah, we're just going to do this. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to start by scribbling, and I want you to use your whole arm, right? You want to kind of get really loosened up and ready to go, okay? So we're just going to move all around our paper. We're going to fill the whole thing in. And look at what I'm doing. I'm moving my whole arm right all the way up to the shoulder. Yeah, that's really important because we want to get everything moving. Okay, I used one color, and now I'm going to switch to a different color. And this time, I'm going to put it in my left hand. Now you're going, well, I am not left-handed, or if you're left-handed, I'm not right-handed. I want you to switch it up. And the reason is because when we use different hands, we actually change something in our brain. I know it sounds strange, but it actually works. So it has to do with how our brains work. They're kind of divided into left and right side, and when we use our other hand, it does something in our brain. It kind of frees up some creativity in our head. Okay, you might not be as quite good at it. You can practice, and you get it. All right, look at that. We're just going to fill that all in with scribbly. Whoop. Well, this one leaked. Yeah, I got blue paint all over my hand. Those are the perils of being an artist. You get yourself a little bit dirty. That's why I'm wearing an apron, to keep my clothes a little bit cleaner, tidier. Oh well. Okay, let's try another color. Now I'm going to switch back to my right hand. We're just going to fill that all in. And I'm kind of doing loopy swirly things, but you could do like zigzags or straight lines, or yeah, you could do whatever you like. Oh, here, let's try red. Let's add red. Okay, this time I'm going to put it in my left hand again. We're going to do it on this side. All right. going to do 2 more colors, and this time I'm going to do it like this. So I've got a green one and I got an orange one, and I'm going to put one in both hands, and I'm going to do them at the same time, and that really gets things going in your head. You try it. It's really interesting how it makes you feel. Yeah, it doesn't matter, you know, a little bit messy. It's all right. Woo! It's like we're having a race car thing here going on. All right. Okay, great. Now we got that all kind of filled in there. Awesome. All right. So, now, this piece of paper and this piece of paper, we're going to put them on top of each other, and we're going to cut them in half. So I've got my handy dandy paper cutter here, and you could also use a ruler and a pair of scissors if you like. Now these papers are 12 by 12, so what's half of 12? 6 inches. All right, so we put that at 6. Put that down, cut that in half. Okay, so now we got these 2. All right. Put that away. Now, what we're going to do, excuse me, what we're going to do is we're going to tape these 2 things together, but we don't want our tape to be on the side where we've got our coloring. So we're going to turn these over, and we'll line them up. For some reason my black paper is a little bit bigger than my white, but oh well. And then we're going to take some Scotch tape, and we're just going to run that right down the center. And since this is a little bit, the tape's a little bit longer than there, I'm just going to trim that right off of there. Put that in the garbage. Right? So we got one, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one, because we're going to need both of these, because one of them is going to be the surface that we put stuff on, and the other one we're gonna do something interesting with. Okay, so we tape those together and trim off that extra tape. Yeah, you want to trim that over. Don't fold it over to the other side, because that won't look very nice. Tape sticking to my fingers. All right. Okay, so now we've got 2 pieces like this. Okay. Now the next thing we're doing is we fold one of these in half. We have to fold it so that the stuff that we colored is on the inside, right? So we fold that over. Whoops, that did not fold. Let's again. Okay. There we go. Okay, we fold that in half, and then we're going to take our pencil, there's my pencil, and we're going to draw a design onto here. Now, I have a couple of examples that I did beforehand so that I can show you. One is like this. I drew a butterfly, and basically what we're doing is we're drawing half. On this white side, we're drawing half of what we want the whole thing to look like. So I drew half a butterfly, right? So here's his body and his head and his antenna, and then there's his wings. And I also drew some things, some circles and some designs on the inside, okay? All right, so I did that one. And here's another one. So if you don't like butterflies, if you want to do something a little more, I don't know, different, I drew kind of a crazy face, all right? So I drew this crazy face. So here's an eye and his nose, and he's got a big toothy mouth. He's got a funny beard, and he's got an earring in his ear, and he's got this horns and funny hair, all right? So, but it's just half the face, okay? So the next thing you need to do is you need to cut this out, all right? So you need your scissors. Now, you'll notice, before I start cutting, you'll notice that some pieces are like not part of the main part, like these little kind of flame things coming off of his beard and then his earring. So you're going to have to be careful. Don't throw anything away unless you know for sure you've got everything you need. Yeah, look at all the paint. Yeah, doesn't take much. I got paint all over my hands. All right. That's a sign of an artist. Okay, so we're going to cut this out, and we have to be careful not to lose these pieces. And we're cutting through both layers. So we're cutting through the white and the black, right? But I drew it on the white because it's easier to see. All right? All right, so here we go. We're going to cut this out. If you have some really little scissors for some of the more intricate parts, that's really helpful. Like I have a pair of scissors like this. And when I get to the really nitpicky stuff, I can use these little scissors and they work a little bit better. Oh, and if you know, want to, you're a kid and you want to maybe get your mom or dad to help you maybe with a kind of, I guess they call them an X-Acto knife or some kind of a utility knife that with a cutting mat, you can also do it like that too. Especially if you want to do something really intricate. And I'm going to show you one after we're done this. I'm going to show you one that I did with a little bit more fancy, intricate cuts. You can have lots of fun with this. All right. Yep, cutting around his ear. There we go. Hope you guys are all having a great day. Keeping yourself busy. Take some time to go outside. Eat some good food. Read a good book. Yeah. Make some art like this. It's all good. So if you're watching live right now, send me a comment. I love to see your comments, see what you have to say. Hope you're enjoying this. And if you're watching it later, yeah, you can comment then too. Okay, so we're going to hang on to this because there's still some pieces we got to cut out of there. But I'm just going to open this up so you can kind of see. Okay, so now there's the shape that we've cut. Now, I still have a few more things I got to cut out. So here's his nose. So I'm going to cut out the shape of his nose. All right, I'll open that up so you can see. Ah, see, there's his nose. Awesome. And, oh, I've got his mouth. Now this one is a little bit different, the mouth part, because we're actually going to cut out the whole thing. I'll show you in a second. So right now I'm cutting out the part inside of his mouth with his teeth, making the shape of his teeth. And we actually want to keep this piece because we're going to keep this little part because we're going to need it. Because once I cut this out, you'll understand when I put it all together. You'll see how it works. Okay? So this piece we don't need, but we do need this piece. Okay? Okay, so there's his big mouth, and when I open this up and put it inside, then we'll see the shape, okay? Now, there's lots of other little pieces I have to cut out. These ones are a little bit harder. So they're not like right at the edge, so there's no way to get at them. So you kind of have to be careful. You have to use maybe a pair of pointy scissors, and then you can cut out all these little shapes. Okay, there's one. And let's see what else. We'll do his eye maybe. All right. So I got the top part of his eye. You don't need those pieces. Yeah, that's one tricky thing about doing this when you're designing your whatever it is that you want to do. You have to think about which are the pieces I got to keep and which are the pieces I don't. And you'll understand, I think, once I get this all cut out and I show you how we're going to have it on the other piece of paper that we made. You'll see how it all goes together. This is his eyebrow. I'm gonna cut out this, and then I'm gonna open it up so you can kind of see what's happening. This is a bit almost kind of like, you know, when you make a snowflake, right? You cut it, you fold the paper, and then you cut it a bit like that. But because we've got some colors, and then we've got black, we're going to get a really interesting way of thinking about space. All these little sharp corners I got to cut out. There we go. All right. Okay, we don't need that, but remember, I hung on to this. We need that piece. All right, I'm just going to open this up so you can kind of see what it's looking like. All right, look. So we got his bushy eyebrows, we got his nose and his eyes, and I've got a few more things. There's a little thing in here by his ear. That's kind of like the, you know, the swirly part in your ear. He's got pointy ears. I don't know. I don't think I want to meet this guy in a back alley somewhere. Okay. Got his ears. And then I've got these kind of flamey off of his beard. So cut those out. One, I got four. That's one. And you could do anything, really, you know. You could draw any kind of thing where you just draw half of what you want, and then, yeah, a car, a flower, a tree, any kind of animal. Faces are good. Obviously, butterflies. Bugs, lots of bugs. You could draw just half of the bug, and then you cut that out. Yeah, there's lots of things you could do. And if you're not sure how to draw something, find a picture of something in a book or online. You know, use it as reference. Use it as something to go, oh, that's what it looks like. Yeah. But it needs to be something where you could kind of just draw half of it, right? It's a little harder, a little trickier to figure it out if you are using something that isn't, you know, I'm going to add an extra one in here just because I can. And I cut that off. All right, ready? Here we go. So I cut them all out. Okay, here we go. Woo! Awesome. Okay, so now we've cut that out. Now we take this other paper, right? And we're going to glue this down like this. So we set this down in the middle. I hope you can see that. Okay. Now remember I had this piece. So now I need this piece and I can add it in here like that. And then we would glue it down. Now I had some more pieces like his earring and these other flame things, and I can cut those out as well. And they'd be like this piece, they'd be extra, and then I would just put them in here. So I put where the background is the colored one, I put the black pieces. And where the background or the remember negative space is black, then I put the color, which is our positive space. So the face is the positive space, and this, depending on which side, is the negative space. But now we're playing, so which is it, negative or positive? And that's kind of the fun part of it, right? So, right. So that's what it would look like. And we could, you know, put some glue on the back and just glue that down. Okay. Now I want to show you some other ones. Another one that I did. I did the butterfly. Okay. So again, you'll see, like when I cut out the circle, that was separate, all right? And there was another circle there, and it created the really interesting pattern. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. And here's one that I did. This one I did with, instead of using the scribbled paper that I created myself, I actually used some scrapbook paper. And I did the very same thing. Oh, this piece didn't stay glued on there. Oh well. Yeah, it came off. Oh, it's not sticking. That's okay. Anyway, so yeah. So I did the very same thing. But instead of using white and black, I used pink. I used some scrapbook paper. And this paper, the pink paper, actually was double-sided. And one side it was like this, and on the other side it had dots. And so I actually, I wanted to play around with that a little bit. So I flipped this one around and used the dots for the flower on here, and in the back, on the negative space over here, I used the other side. And I used some of this I cut out freehand like I did the other ones. And then I also used some punches. So I used like a hole punch. And then I have another little punch that has a slightly larger circle to kind of create, you know, like this. Because I would glue that one back on there like that. But yeah, so you can do some really intricate things. And you can have a lot of fun with that. Yeah. So there's lots of stuff you can do with like that. So thanks for watching. And I hope you have fun with this. And it's going to be up and posted again, so if you want to watch it again and work through and you're not sure about how to do something, yeah, you can watch it again. Or if you have a question, you can leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I really, really want to see what you make. So when you make something, take a photograph of it and post it. I would love to see what you're going to do. And I'll see you next time. I'm hoping our next class will probably be on Thursday. And what are we going to talk about next Thursday? We're going to talk about perspective. Yep. So I look forward to seeing you then, and have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.